So, this morning, I want to talk about the importance of touching what is good, touching what is nourishing, and touching the wonders of life. Touching the wonders of life. We sang that song, Accentuate the Positive, which you all sang so beautifully. Accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between, which is basically another way of saying focus on what's good. Focus on what's good. Thich Nhat Hanh is one of my key teachers in my life, and he often spoke about how important it is to touch what is good as a way of balancing what is challenging in life, as a way of fortifying ourselves so that we can cultivate equanimity. In fact, here are his words. Life is filled with suffering, but it is also filled with many wonders, like the blue sky, or today, like the rainy sky, right? Like the sunshine, like the eyes of a baby. To suffer is not enough. We must also be in touch with the wonders of life. They are within us, they are all around us, they are everywhere, anytime. Have you been in touch with the wonder? I'll tell you a little story. My partner and I went up to hike in the Applegate last week, and we were driving through Jacksonville, and we were stopped at that crosswalk right there where you go up to the Brit. And these people were crossing, and after these people crossed, this perfect line of turkeys in single file walked right across the crosswalk. They were right in the middle. They were lined up perfectly. There was at least a dozen. And it was just about as charming as could be. Everybody was getting their iPhones out. Nobody was honking. Nobody minded, right? That they were taking their time. It was a mindfulness walk. If you've ever walked with Thich Nhat Hanh, he walks very slow. You feel like you're going to trip over yourself, right? So we were just absolutely enamored of these turkeys. And I just felt like they had a message for us, They were saying life is filled with wonder, be in the present moment. There's so much beauty to behold and enjoy. Don't be too busy. Don't be in too much of a hurry. And focus on what is good. Focus on what is good right now. There's a poem by Rumi that says something very similar. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down the dulcimer. Let the beauty we love be what we do. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kiss the ground. Ah, I've got chills. Because, I sometimes I'm sitting at my desk, I'm writing. This talk this week was just one of those weeks where I just, I would wrestle. I wrote 3 different talks by Wednesday, right? And sometimes I just have to get up from the desk and I have to walk across the street to the park. And I kiss the ground, I kiss the colored leaves, I kiss the trees, I kiss the flowing creek, I kiss the deer, and I just am feeling the wonder again. Then I come back and then I might have something worth saying, right? I'm touching the good first, I'm touching the wonder, then I'm fortified. I saw a funny cartoon that expressed the way I get sometimes at night. It was these first 2 panels. It was this young woman, and she gets in her cute little jammies, and she gets in bed in her cozy little house, and it looks like she's going to have this wonderful, peaceful, sweet dreams kind of night. And then the last frame, she's lying in bed surrounded by flames with an expression of horror on her face, with bulging eyes, and she's looking at her phone, and the caption in bold letters says, "Doom scrolling till dawn." I saw that and I went, gosh, you know what? That's me sometimes. Am I the only one that does this? Yeah, thank you. Our brain is wired to pay attention to what is dangerous. It's wired. That kept us alive. So we have to be compassionate for it. And right now, with this election coming up in 9 days, at least for me, it feels concerning. It feels concerning. And, not to sugarcoat it, it is concerning. Our democracy and the well-being of our nation feels like it's in a precarious moment. So our feelings and our emotions are normal. They're natural. They're a natural response. But I am always searching for teachings that help me through as much as they help you through, right? I'm speaking to myself just as much, and I sense that the support we need is we need self-care. We need to remember the greater, bigger picture, way bigger picture. And when we rest in that, we bring spaciousness to our fear. I heard a Dharma teacher say that one time, that when we feel anxiety or fear, we need to feed the fear in us spaciousness. Isn't that good? Feed the fear in us spaciousness, and realize it's okay that the part of us that's in charge of surviving is, making a big fuss, right? Because things feel unstable. We can bring calm spaciousness to the fear, and then this anxiety, we feed that anxiety and that fear of spaciousness, and then the fear is not consuming us, we're consuming it. Or better said, we're dissolving it. We're dissolving it because it's got all this spaciousness around it, bottom line, when we feel fear, it's an essential feeling that we're not going to be okay. But the spaciousness is like this loving, comforting friend. It's like a wise, loving, comforting friend and presence that says, actually, you can handle this. You are going to be okay. Thich Nhat Hanh would say that, when we're spacious and we bring presence and awareness to our sorrow, it's like we're smiling at our humanness. And, our higher self is taking the hand of the child in us, the fearful part of us. And he said to try to remember you're more than your sorrow. You're more than your anxiety. You're more than your fear, right? He talks about how humans are like a TV. They're like a TV that has all these millions of channels, right? You can turn on any channel you want. So what channel are you turning on? He says if we turn the Buddha on, we are the Buddha. If we turn the Christ on, we are the Christ. If we turn sorrow on, we are sorrow. And we can't just let one channel dominate us, right? So I, for some reason this week, got into reading Charlotte's Web. I don't know, maybe I was missing my mom. She used to read me that when I was little. And the man who wrote it, E.B. White, he's just he was such an amazing man. And I read an article about him this week, and he said, this is what he said: all that I hope to say in books, all that I ever hope to say, is that I love the world. I feel that. That's all I ever hope to say in these talks and in my songs, is that I love the world. And, he found wonder. He found wonder in the world. I mean, to come up with that beautiful story, it's about a pig that was a runt of a pig, and the pig made friends with a spider, Charlotte's Web. And they became friends, and the pig was a runt, and he was going to be sent to slaughter. And so because they were friends, Charlotte was like, no, we have to come up with a plan to save you. And she came up with this brilliant idea to write words in her web. So she would write, what did she say? She said, some pig. And so when people would walk in the barn and they'd see that, some pig, oh, well, this is some pig. This must be an important pig, right? And then another time she wrote terrific right over where the pig was. And then another time she wrote radiant, right? So Wilbur was saved ultimately because everyone thought he was magic. I mean, he had to be magic if he had a spider that was a friend that could write in her web, right? But I just love the magic. Same thing with Disney, the magic of interspecies relations and just the way friendship and connection can happen through any species. E.B. Said, always be on the lookout for the presence of wonder. And it's so neat because when you read his biography, he actually had a pig. It's kind of a true story. He had a pig that was kind of this runt, this sickly little pig, and it had this some illness or something, and he would spend all this time in the barn trying to, make his pig feel better and heal his pig. And while he was there, he saw a spider and a spider web weave a little sack and spin a sack of eggs. And then for days, he never saw the spider come back. And he thought, okay, maybe that's all she does. So one day, on a whim, he very carefully cut out that sack and he put it in a little candy box and he poked holes in the top and he took it inside. And days later, there were tons of baby spiders all over his room. And he delighted in that. He absolutely thought that was fantastic. His family wasn't as pleased. So, but he says for a couple weeks, they all lived happily in his room. Yeah, another one of his quotes, I arise in the morning torn between a desire to save the world and a desire to savor the world. This makes it hard to plan the day. I love that because I feel that we need the savoring. We need the savoring. That's the wonder. That's watching the turkeys walk by and just being wowed. We need that for our equanimity and our well-being so that we have the energy to do our part to help the world, right? To bring our particular light to it. So finding equanimity is where we don't have to push away what's hard and we don't have to cling to what's good, right? I remember one summer living in Mount Shasta, I got into floating. I decided that floating was going to be my new spiritual practice. So I got a raft, and I would go to Lake Siskiyou, and I'd blow up my raft, and I'd lay on the raft, and I would float. And I wouldn't paddle. I just surrender, right? And granted, I would end up, in far corners of the lake. Fortunately, it wasn't too big. But I really, I just felt like I got into a deeper understanding of letting go and letting God and surrendering. So I decided, I was having a retreat, I invited all my retreatants to all bring rafts. I said, now bring a blow-up raft. I'm going to teach you a new spiritual practice I bet you've never gotten from any of your other retreats you've done, right? And I took them up to Cliff Lake, where I took you, Khadijah. And we were up at Cliff Lake, and I said, okay, we're all going to blow up our raft, and then you're going to get on your raft. We'll give you time to laugh and giggle and be silly trying to get on your raft and falling off. But once we're all on our rafts, we're going into silence for 30 minutes. And I want you to just let go. I want you to let the water and the wind just carry you wherever it will, because that lake wasn't very big at all. And it was so beautiful to watch this group of people on their colorful rafts just letting go. I just felt like they were having a transformation experience, a big one. And you have the wind, you have the sun, you have the light, you have the water, you have those granite cliffs, all of it, and you just let go into it. And many of those people, some of those people wrote me many years later and said that they still remember that was a really profound experience, and that when they meditate, they'll go there sometimes. They'll use that visualization because it was such a deep and profound peace and experience. So balance is so important, equanimity. I love this definition. I found this definition of equanimity because it's really a big practice that I'm practicing. It's described as a quality that, when developed, allows us to meet every experience with greater strength, softness, and steadiness of heart and mind. Equanimity allows us to have spacious presence. There's that word again, spacious. Spacious presence with all the changing and challenging experiences that make up our lives and the world. Yeah. I know many of you you have a deep relationship with the natural world, like I do. And that's because nature is such a great teacher. Nature is such a powerful Dharma teacher. All the teachings in nature that we can find. Thich Nhat Hanh talks about this a lot, and I another reason I love him. But he says, if you sit with a beautiful oak tree, and we just see the oak tree just being an oak tree, that's all it has to do, right? It's providing clean air and shade and beauty and color and magic and a home for squirrels and birds and lots of acorns for many, many future generations of oak trees. You know, it's a teaching. And what's the teaching? What's the teaching? You tell me. What's the oak tree teaching us? To be ourselves? That we're enough. Yeah. We have the same magic. Yes. We can offer shade and beauty to the world and ask nothing back. Yeah, it's a beautiful teaching. So we can learn from everything around us. One of those people at that retreat where we went floating sent me a book from Eckhart Tolle. It was a book back then I think he just came out with called Guardians of Being, about the ways that your pet can teach you about life. And he wrote, Eckhart Tolle wrote, I've lived with several Zen masters, all of them cats. I love my cat, Kali Girl. She teaches me how to stretch, how to play, get wild-eyed and play, and also how to get lots of affection and and rest and, you know, all the important things. And what? And walk away, right, when you've had enough. That's a good point. How to go between the veils. Ah, yes. So Tolle says just watching an animal closely can take you out of your mind and bring you into the present moment, which is where the animal lives all the time, surrendered to life. They're so lucky they're not worried about the future and the election in 9 days, right? I remember a Dharma talk I heard by a Lama years ago that something he said really stuck with me, and it was, here's the thing, when you're too much in the future, when you're worried, when you're anxious, ask yourself, is anything wrong with this moment now? Is anything wrong with this moment now? Because usually, most of the time, this is a good moment. Is anything wrong with this moment now? I mean, we're doing good. We're here, we're all dressed and warm, and we've been fed, and we're smiling, and we have each other. We have this beautiful community. I used this the other night when I was doom scrolling till dawn. I asked myself, if I just keep my attention in this present moment, is anything wrong? No, I'm in my bed. I'm comfortable. I have a home. I have love in my life. I love my work. You know, it's quite all right. It's quite all right now. So that's a really important pointer to the present moment. And that's another point that I want to talk about, is that when we're fully present in this moment, when we're deeply in this moment, we breathe deeply in this moment, we're here now, we're in our Buddha nature, we're in our Christ nature, right? And we have this presence, and it has power. It has a quality and a power to it. Tolle says, unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non-forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence. Such a powerful, powerful teaching. So I hope that, that this talk can just be a reminder about balancing our lives, and bringing more present moment awareness and paying attention to the wonder. I have a friend that wrote a song one time, Become the Wonder. Should have learned that for today. But that Sufi teaching, I was thinking about that Sufi teaching, have faith and tie up your camel. Is that something? Did I get it right? Something like that. What's that? Trust in God, but tie up your camel. So that's another really good teaching for right now. It's like, okay, vote and, tie up your camel part. That's like, do all that you can do for social justice here in the community and vote, and then that's tying up your camel. And then you need to have faith in the intelligence that creates oak trees and these incredibly colored leaves that fall and blow us away with their artistic beauty. And, you know, the wisdom and the intelligence of the universe is really huge. We can have faith in that. We can trust in that. We can trust in the power of that and rest in the present moment. Rest in the present moment. I love these words from Master Jesus. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Fear not. Be fearless. Be filled with wonder. Focus on the good. All is well. Thank you.